Hello and welcome everybody today. I am joined once again by Barlow.
Hi, everyone.
And today, Barlow, we're going to be talking about your favorite thing in gaming, right? Like
Yes.
more than miniatures, more than board games.
Yes.
Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition.
Absolutely. It is my favorite game. I have been playing Dungeons and Dragons since the original white booklets, the little tiny white box set that they had, and I've played every single edition through the current 5th edition. So it is my favorite edition of the game so far. Absolutely.
Might as well, yeah.
Plays very, very well. And the Essentials Kit is our introduction product into the line.
Okay.
Talk about.
Yeah, so what we're going to do today is we're actually going to unbox the Essentials Kit, and then he's going to let you know about the differences between this and then the starter set.
I consider these both as introductory products to the line. You mentioned earlier that there are two other products as well. There's the Stranger Things starter box, and there's also the Rick and Morty starter box. Those are clearly introductory products, but they're more in the vein of the starter set, which the starter set is good for anyone that has not necessarily played Dungeons & Dragons before. The reason for that is because you get a basic rule book, you get 5 pre-generated characters, a basic set of dice, 6 polyhedral dice that you'll use in the game, and then also uniquely to this box, there is probably the best module that they've ever published for the game.
The best.
Yes, absolutely. The Lost Mines of Phandelver. Now, about this set, though, you will not be creating characters. There are not rules for character creation. You will advance to level 5. That is it. There's no rules, and your advancements are listed on your character sheet as you go for what level you're at. So it's all very contained, and it's a great introduction to the game and role playing in general.
Yeah.
If you are a role player and have role played or are familiar with the concepts of role playing, or you want to just jump in a little deeper, I'd say the Essentials Kit is clearly the way to go, because unlike the starter set, in the Essentials Kit you will be creating characters. You will advance them. It only goes up to 6th level, but you'll still be going through that process. And there are many different Dungeon Master tools in this box, which we'll go over and kind of talk about.
Okay, so you ready to get this bad boy open?
Let's do it. Let's open it up.
Okay, I'm going to get my handy dandy.
As I mentioned here, you're going to be creating characters in this, and there are several options. The basic rules are essentially the same rules that are available on the Dungeons and Dragons website. It's the free rule book. There are 4 races and 5 classes. The 4 basic classes: Fighter, Cleric, Rogue, and Wizard, and then the addition of the Bard as well. So,
okay.
First off, you'll notice right away there is a full set of dice in this. That full set of dice includes 2 20-sided dice for the advantage and disadvantage mechanic. It also includes 4 d6s, which are pretty common in a full set, so that you can roll your attributes and whatnot. And then there's also the D100 percentile dice, so you can actually do a full percentile. This is 11.
So you can do the first. Oh, okay. Yeah, so you get more dice.
Yeah, 11 compared to 6 in the first one. That's the first thing that's different about this set.
Well, that's cool they did that, right?
Yep.
Like, because, you roll D20 with advantage and disadvantage,
Exactly.
right? So you roll more with D20s and the percentile dice, like
Exactly.
you said. So that's,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's more for a dedicated role player, somebody that wants to get into this full hand. The second thing we pull out of here, this is the adventure. Now, remember I said that the Lost Mines of Phandelver is probably the best module. This is a very, very close second. What I find interesting is that they are both set in the same setting, so they're both along the Sword Coast, just south of Neverwinter, kind of near the mountains there that you'll see along the Sword Coast. And if you play the Lost Mines of Phandelver, you can actually insert some of the side quests and other pieces of the Dragons of Icespire Peak into that same setting. So you can play through both of them with the same characters.
That's cool. Is this like a first level adventure that
Yes.
starts out at first?
Yes. Just like the Lost Mines of Phandelver is for 1st through 5th, Dragons of Icespire Peak, again, 1st through 6th is what it's for. What it's designed for.
What I love about this is, I haven't read this, but I'm guessing there's a dragon in it?
Yes, absolutely.
And you should always have, in your first campaign, right, for Dungeons & Dragons,
Yes.
you should have a dragon
Yes.
and a dungeon
Yes.
in your game, right?
You're 100% right, and you get both of those. You get them in both sets. So
Oh,
Lost Mines of
there's a
Phandelver
dragon,
also
isn't
has a dragon.
Good.
Also
on
has
them.
a dungeon, and so does this one. So again, like I said, very, very compatible games if you want to play them side by side. What makes these adventures actually probably so strong is that, like, similar to a lot of video games where you can get side quests, there's a number of side quests in both of these, and particularly in Icespire Peak, that you can send your characters off on so that they can learn more about the world, more about the region, more about what role-playing is about, right? It's not just go to this dungeon, kill this monster, come back, collect your money.
Yeah.
There's all things happening in it, and it makes the world kind of feel alive. So they do a really good job of that in this adventure, The Dragon of Icespire Peak.
Nice. And then there's a deck. Is this a deck box?
It is. It is a card box that you are going to put some Dungeon Master tools that are included in it.
Is there cards in here?
There's a lot of cards. Yes, there are.
Yeah.
You'll see as you pull these out.
Oh, my goodness. There's a bunch of cards in here.
Right?
Oh, Lord.
So
yeah.
The first cards.
Now, these are not in the starter set.
No, these are absolutely not. This
these are
is some of the stuff that is just in the Essentials Kit. So the first thing you'll notice is there's these initiative cards. When you roll initiative, you set an order. This is just a tool to help everybody at the table to remember who goes first, who goes second. There's enough for every one of the players and also for the enemy groups as well, so that your GM, your Dungeon Master, can hand those out to the people when they roll initiative, and you can just go around the table with who
1
acts
through
at what
9
time.
or whatever.
Yes, exactly. The next thing they have, you'll notice there are condition cards. Now, on the one side, it lists the condition, and when you turn it over, you'll see that there are
that's handy
descriptions.
right there.
Yes, exactly. Also, at the bottom, you'll see that there are some combat step-by-steps. That's for beginners that want to understand the combat turn and how it works, how you manage combat in the game, and that you can hand out to everybody as well. You also see there's a magic charm that is specific to this adventure. So there's really
Does it have the rules for the magic?
it does what the charm is so that when it happens in the game, the Dungeon Master can hand it out to the player, and the player then knows what they're doing with this magic charm, how they can use it.
That is awesome. Okay,
Yep.
let's see. Is this another one?
More conditions.
More conditions. Oh, these are different conditions.
Yes,
than
yes,
the others.
absolutely. So all of the basic conditions are defined here, and these, I want to point out, these are specific so that when one of the players suffers one of these conditions, the Dungeon Master can hand them the card so they will remember what conditions they're suffering. There's another product in here that will help to remind the Dungeon Master of what those conditions are, which we'll talk about in just a second.
Okay. And this is awesome. Yeah, check that out.
Yes. So these are NPC characters, and the Essentials Kit does an interesting thing. They create what is called a sidekick, and these are the sidekick cards. So that when the players meet these people and they decide to join their team or join their group, what they will do is they'll get the sidekick card. You also notice that if you remember from the 3.0 and 3.5, there were NPC classes. They had like the Acolyte, they had the Expert, they had the Warrior. This has a similar thing, except that they call them Warriors, Experts, and Spellcasters.
Okay.
So they've done the same kind of thing as NPC levels, and these are your sidekicks. So you get a picture of them on one side and a description of what they know and their ideals on the back, so that if they join your group, your Dungeon Master will hand that to you, and you'll be able to have
Have your sidekick. Yeah, mine. I'm definitely wanting to meet Donabella Fiasco.
that hat, right?
Yeah, and her name's Donabella Fiasco, so you know she's getting in trouble, right?
Right, you should read her ideals. See what she said. She might. She's right there,
Ideal.
Donabella.
We all have a little magic in us. The trick is finding it and bringing it forth.
See?
Nice.
There we go.
Yeah.
So then the next ones are, there's
Goodness,
4
there's a
sheets.
bunch of these.
Yeah, 4 sheets of magic items. So at 9 each, there's 36 magic items that the Dungeon Master can have to hand out to you. So that when you find the Sending Stone, when you find the Potion of Healing, you know what it does, or you have multiples. You'll notice with the Potion of Healing in particular, there's multiple copies of that because you're going to find multiple copies in the game, and you may want to distribute them amongst players in your group.
And just give them the card, yeah.
Exactly. So it's really just an easy bookkeeping mechanism that helps introduce players and Dungeon Masters to the concept of magic items, how they operate, how they function, and keep it as a reminder. And this is probably one of my favorites.
This is awesome.
Remember when I mentioned side quests?
Yes.
This is what these are. How many times you played in the game, and then between one session and the next, you come back and you ask your players, well, what are you guys planning to do? Well, we were supposed to go to the one place and meet the guy to get the thing. Wait, what? What are you talking about? This now is actually, once they unlock these quests in the game where they come across them, you can hand out these quest cards to remind them so that they know, number one, what they have to do, where they have to go, and if there is a reward that was promised, what the reward is.
I told you on that. What would be great is if Wizards made like 100 of these, right? Like a deck of these, right? And just release
Absolutely.
them every once in a while because it also would give you ideas, right, for little two-nighter side quests and stuff like that, and then keep track with the card. This is a great idea. I love the quest cards.
Well, and the other thing too is I think it also, again, it starts to teach good dungeon mastering skills, right? As a dungeon master, if you have these in the first set, the next time you play a module or you're writing your own game, you could just use index cards and write the same thing down and hand it to your players so that they don't have to try and remember from session to session, or if they're not good at taking notes. But I think it does two things. It helps develop the dungeon master skill to saying, oh, I'm going to create these on my own to hand to my group. And it also helps the group remember, oh, when I get a quest, if I don't get a quest card, I need to record these things. These are what's important to remember. Where I'm going, who I'm talking to, what I need to do, and how much I'm getting paid if I get it. Right?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yep. All right, and then it looks like we got the rule book.
Yep, this is the basic rule book. These are essentially the same rules that you find on DungeonsandDragons.com, the free PDF. They're
okay, so this isn't like a copy paste from the player's handbook of certain.
No,
it's just okay.
That's correct. And you'll notice, like I said, there's 4 different races. There's 5 classes. It's got a handful of backgrounds, I think. I think there's 4 or 5 backgrounds that you can choose. And it's got spells and things and that stuff that you would expect to see in...
Just like a miniatures player's handbook.
Exactly.
Oh,
right.
It talks about sidekicks. There's sidekicks. Oh, okay.
So it's just a miniatures player's handbook. And on the back of the book, there's also lists of conditions and things. The next thing that's in here, there's 5 character sheets. So, and these are blank character sheets so that you can fill them out. And once you build your characters, that's for your team.
Oh, it's a 2-page. That's my favorite.
Yes.
2 pages, right, front and back.
Right, the ones on the website you have to download. There's 5.
There's all kinds of crazy ones too. They have different ones, but yeah, I'm just like, just give me front and back because actually, what is that company? I think it's Gale Force 9. They make that little card. Have you seen those cards? It's literally just a card. It's basically like this information on a card that you can like dry erase.
Exactly.
And that's I'm a clean. I like the clean.
Something easy. I don't need 15
of the character
pages
sheets. And then let's see, was this the dungeon?
So this is one of the things I think is the coolest addition to this because it's a real honest to goodness Dungeon Master screen. So it's obviously not as thick or as large as the regularly published one, but this has everything that you need as a Dungeon Master. Like I said, the conditions are right there. They're listed, so when you hand out the conditions, you know as the Dungeon Master what they are. Your players can know. It runs through everything that you need. All the basic information.
It just keeps going.
Yeah, right.
Well, and then hold up the art for.
That's the other piece. The art.
That is awesome art.
Right. It's super evocative. It really. You can look at that and you feel exactly what is happening in the game. Right. You're in the foothills of the mountains. There's some cold. You're also fighting orcs, in this rocky area. And then there's also this wooded place that you have to go through, and you spend some time in the woods doing some things. So, I mean, the adventure, I think, is very aptly captured in this art.
That's what I'm saying. And Dungeons & Dragons is so good about capturing adventure, right? Oh, yeah. In their art.
Oh, yeah.
Like, between like cemeteries and cathedrals and towns and stuff, it makes you want to go like explore, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's so great.
And they've done it for years, and this edition still continues with outstanding artwork.
Okay, and then we got.
And this is the last. The
last a big
tool.
One here. So this. Okay.
And so there are two maps on here. The first side of the map is the town of Phandelver. And that is the town, or I'm sorry, Phandalin. Phandalin is the town. And that is, again, the same town that is in the Lost Mines of Phandelver module.
Oh, so you got a map for both if you own both.
Exactly. Exactly right.
Cool.
And then on the other side is the Sword Coast. So it's got the city of Neverwinter. It's got the Neverwinter Wood. It's got, the mountains that you're going to be going in. All the way, the whole area where the module takes place, where all of the side quests, everything else that's included, is in this area of the map. So
okay, yeah, that's really cool, man. Yeah. And then let's see, we got one more thing. Oh, it's just an advert here. Welcome to adventure. Isn't that true though, right?
Well, and this is actually more than just an ad too. You'll notice on the backside there's codes. There's discount codes for. Entering into their D&D Beyond product. So D&D Beyond is essentially an online toolkit for doing a number of things. You can do it for free, absolutely, and that's just access to all the basic rules for free for Dungeons & Dragons. It's got a character creator, all kinds of different things on there for free. If you want access to, like, for example, all of the character classes available in the player's handbook, or all of the character races, all of the spells, everything in the player's handbook, you can buy a digital version of the player's handbook on D&D Beyond and use that for your character creation, creating your encounters, things like that. And this actually gives you a 50% off the cost of the player's handbook on their D&D Beyond tool.
I wonder if we just gave out a bunch of these. There's some product keys, so I guess first come, first serve on
probably
those,
did.
right?
There you
Yeah.
go.
So hey, I don't know if you can scan these codes off like a YouTube video, but first come, first serve. There's 3 codes there for you.
Can the editor blur that, please? I mean, maybe blur that. So, but that's the Essentials Kit. Those are all the cool things included.
That's great, man. This thing's got a lot of stuff into it. Now, let's move this out of the way there. Would you recommend like getting this over that one, or get them both? Or?
I think so. I mean, full disclosure, I own both of them because I like the module that's in the starter set.
Okay.
But I think if someone is looking for an introduction to Dungeons and Dragons and they're not familiar with role playing, like maybe they've never created a character before, don't understand it, and just want to sit down and play the game right away, I would suggest the starter set. If you want to really get into role playing and learn a little bit more about it, and you're not just itching to sit down and immediately sit at the table and roll some dice, I'd say the Essentials Kit is the way to go for a number of reasons. First off, it gives you the flexibility of character creation and all the really nice dungeon mastering tools that are included in it. So if you want to be the dungeon master, definitely go with the Essentials Kit because it's got all the nice things to start off with, and it's a great jumping off point for the game.
That's great. Well, Barlow, I appreciate you going over that with us.
Thanks for having me.
And that's cool. Yeah. So if you're interested in picking up any of these, actually, I'll get the starter one up here. You can always check your friendly local game store first. And if they don't have it, you can check out the link below. Also, too, I've been told by basically my producers that I need to do my call to action. And if you really do enjoy this video, please give a like and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow, which we're trying to do at this moment. So we appreciate you stopping by, and y'all have a good one now.
Bye, everyone.